I was tagged by Read by Fred in the Finish the Book tag. So I'm going to quickly do a video here. Do you keep a list of books that you have finished? I do on Goodreads. I don't keep a physical one. I mainly do it to keep up with what I've read to make sure I haven't read it twice, which clearly that does not always work when, when I don't check the list properly. So that is not a physical one. At this stage, I don't think I could keep up with a physical one of a list anymore. I used to when I was younger, but at that the book titles have gotten longer and more complicated, and just keeping a notebook isn't quite as efficient any longer. Do you record stats? What stats do you record? I don't really record stats. I don't even on Goodreads. I don't keep up with any of the stats that are on there. So that's kind of like not that irrelevant to me. Do you give star ratings for books? And if so, what do you score books out of, and how do you come about this score? I use the one on Goodreads, which is out of 5, and I have a tendency to kind of use a sliding scale a little bit. Like if you are a self-published author, I'm going to give you more leeway. If you've got typos and different things in your book, if it's a well-researched book and well done book, even if you've got some flaws in it, I'm going to be more willing to give you a 5 or a 4 or whatever else than if you are from a well-known publishing house and I did not enjoy your work. So the sliding scale where you're going to have people saying, well, Coyote Rage ended up getting like a 4 or something on mine, when comparatively, when you look at it compared to like a Stephen King or something else, it's not as slick looking or written that way. Yeah, but it's self-published and was trying a new idea and I think succeeded at it. So it's kind of a little bit, like I said, a sliding scale of what I'm looking for, especially when you start getting into nonfiction. You get into nonfiction that, is it well researched? Is it entertaining? Is it both things? Because it should be both things, in my opinion, if you're trying to market it a certain way. So that's also kind of, nonfiction is a little bit of a different beast than reviewing novels and fiction, because that's more of a, to me, that's almost a little bit of an opinion, because people like certain things and don't like other things, and you can love something that somebody hates and da da da. And yes, you can have a subjectively bad written book that is fiction, but when it comes to nonfiction, it just kind of gets weird, because sometimes things are not really the interest of some people, but it's well written, but the research is done properly. So there's a lot of kind of different things on that nonfiction is kind of a different, to me, kind of a different way of doing things. So that, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm more lenient or one thing or another when it comes to nonfiction, but I do think reviewing it is a little bit different than fiction in a lot of ways, because fiction, you're looking at the plot and this and that, and did it all make sense? Did it come together? Whereas nonfiction, I tend to be looking at, was it entertaining and was it well researched? So it's kind of similar, but not quite the same thing. Do you review books? Yes, that is what I do on this channel. And I don't really do it so much on Goodreads anymore. I used to write more of them there. But once again, if it tends to be a neutral book or a good book, I'm not going to be writing as much about something or saying as much on here. If it's a bad book, or what I consider a bad book, you're going to get the whole spiel, because I just, it's a lot of fodder for for saying stuff about bad books a lot of times. Where do you put your finished books? I generally immediately, unless there's something really particularly I'm going to need them again, I get rid of them. Either I give them to somebody else that I think will enjoy them, or I send them to Goodwill. I don't have the capacity I don't have the capacity to keep the books that I have not read sitting around waiting to be read. I certainly don't have the capacity to keep books that I have read and am done with. So they just kind of get carted off pretty quickly, unless it's something really special. How do you pick your next book? That's my biggest problem, because I have a tendency to jump from book to book to book, because I will get interested in one topic and end up kind of jumping from one thing to another. So I will start with one topic and get halfway through a book and then start another one because, ooh, that looks interesting, and this and that. I have book lists, ones that are made that I anticipate that I'm going to read something on a given topic, and that sometimes works and that sometimes doesn't. I'm the kind of queen of not getting stuff finished a lot of the times. Do you have any other rituals for when you finished a book? No, I don't really. Kind of when I finished a book, I'm kind of done with it. I'm not really sentimental when it comes to finished books. They're just sort of finished. And who do you tag? I don't really tag people because I always feel uncomfortable, like I'm putting people on the spot. So I'm not going to tag anybody in this one, but I did do this tag because a lot of times I forget to do the things I'm tagged in. So I did have time to do this one.